On the phone this morning, Dave, we have 13th District State candidate Sylvia Hammond. She's running against State Representative Matt Manueller. And good morning, Sylvia. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
So, not as though there hasn't been a few unusual things take place in your race to this point.
Yeah, some twists and turns.
So, what as a candidate, what do you do with that?
Okay, well, in case some of the listeners may not be aware, the state Republican Party asked my opponent to resign from his current position as a legislator, and he took a little bit of a different path. He said that he would resign if he was elected, and so he'll go through the election, and then if he's elected, he'll resign. And that if you vote for him, you are just voting for a category. And so it's really a pretty confusing, I think, situation for the voter. And I think that I know it's legal. I know this is a process, but I think that it puts people in a position that to a lot of people doesn't feel very much like democracy. When your choice is that you're voting for a candidate that you have no idea who that might be. Now, Mr. Manueller has not closed the door that he could still, if he were to win, he could still accept that position. It's not a contract that he says he'll step down, but he says he will. And in that case, you are voting, you have no idea who you're voting for, and that it really doesn't feel very democratic. We vote for candidates. We don't just have a ballot that says Republican, Democrat, you choose, and then we'll let the party leadership pick who your representative is. People don't feel very good about it.
Well, and your race was, at least as far as Kittitas numbers go, we just looked at those this morning, pretty close. There was only a few hundred votes between the two of you after the primary. So I think it's more than safe to say that you are clearly within striking distance, and even more so with the controversy now there. Do you assess it that way?
Well, I certainly think so, and I think that that we, even if all of this other had not occurred, I think that yes, that there was a likelihood it was increasing every day. Things are continue to look very good for our campaign, and I certainly hope so. Obviously, you run for an office because you want the office and you expect to win. You don't go in it expecting to lose. You go in it expecting to win and wanting to serve and do a good job, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Sylvia Hammond running for the 13th District seat, currently held by Republican Matt Manueller. Sylvia, what's your strongest recommendation? What's the qualification that makes you most suited for this position?
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure where you were going with that for a minute, but yeah.
Neither was I, quite frankly. Thought my partner was trying to speak here.
That's okay.
Well, yeah, no, that's okay. There's so many questions. No, I think that the thing that is really important that I bring to the table here, and I actually would like to we'll go with one. You asked for one, is that I really have deep roots in the community. Having, been in the Ephrata area, but that's right smack in the middle of the 13th Legislative District. Having been here for 40 years, I am very familiar inside and out with how things are here and what people expect, what their values are, what's important to them, where the gaps are, and then also having a background in both farming and teaching, when farming or agriculture in general, even though we're starting to move forward with more industry, which is good for the diversity of the district, but farming's still our economic driver, and I have that background and then the teaching background, and we know how important education is. It's the priority in the state and obligation, and I know to have direct experience there too. So I feel that and just the other little piece is that I'm running as a public, not a politician, but as a servant to the people, and that's, I think, really important in that people are tired of even the things we're looking at right now in this race, where there's so much political gamesmanship going on, and people just want someone who's in it because they're dedicated to the district. And when my overarching goal is to just make things better here for people, I get a lot of response to that. People say, we're so glad you stepped up and you just want to serve the district. And there's none of this other stuff to muck it up.
Yeah, I'm wondering, are you hearing from your Freighter residents about Manweller and his actions? Are they even addressing any of that stuff? Or I have to say, it's kind of surprising that you're not going after him for what he's been accused of as well. Is there a reason for that?
Well, yes, there is. These things were percolating from the very beginning of the campaign.
Right.
But there were investigations going on, and there were different things going on, and I decided right from the very beginning, I want to run a dignified campaign. I don't like it when people call people names, whether that's in the political arena or just in the lack of civility in our culture, and I have really tried hard to not do that. It's impossible not to address the issue. Because it's there, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
But and people are concerned about it, and people have said, you just need to go after this, and you just need to do this and that.
Right.
And I just don't. I haven't wanted to do that. I've wanted to address it in a reasonable way, and say, there are things going on here that don't represent the values of the people in the district, and it also is something that causes, it just can't be. I'm getting a double negative there, and the English teacher in me goes a little crazy with that. I almost used a double negative. It's very, very distracting to the public, and it has to be distracting to the person involved in anything like that. Your personal life, families first, and so. I just feel like it's too problematic and too important to ignore, but I just don't like going after it in an ugly way.
Well, I think Eastern Washington values are spot on with that. I don't think that's how we roll. But my question is, most of Eastern Washington rolls differently than Western Washington, which is where the Democrats dominate. How are you going to preserve Eastern Washington values and still play with the party that doesn't necessarily always represent those in Olympia?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because we do have to be really careful with stereotypes. And yes, we are very different. Our lifestyle is different, and we've chosen to, live this in a rural environment. Our jobs bring us here, and it's on the opposite side. Other people prefer an urban environment, and that doesn't make either one of us evil or horrible or terrible people. But it also makes our needs different for what the government's going to do for us. And instead of having what you said, how will I play with them? Well, I want to know how they will play with me, because that's the goal here, is to go over there and say, and I'm actually in a position that's very advantageous to the district, because we know that there'll be a Democratic majority and Democratic governor. That's not going to change. Maybe a Democratic supermajority. And so if you have someone who's going over there whose main goal is, what can I do for my district? How can I benefit my district? Then I'll be in the room where the decisions are made. And when legislation comes through that maybe works fine for the West Side and it addresses their needs, but it doesn't address our needs, then I can say, wait. Look at me. I can stomp my feet and raise my hand, and I am not afraid to do that, and say, this doesn't work for me. You have to remember that there are those of us that this does not work for, and let's make it work for both sides. I think the let's make it work for both is a whole lot better than I won't listen to you, and then because of that, you won't listen to me. I think sending over a Democrat is the smartest and most effective thing that Eastern Washington could possibly do to have their voice magnified.
Sylvia, a lot of people upset over the Democrat Party on the national side. I got to ask you about that. I mean, are you concerned that the performance of the Democrats? First of all, what did you think about the performance of the Democrats in the last couple of weeks in this Brett Kavanaugh thing? And then do you believe that that'll hurt the Democratic Party?
Oh, I was asked this recently by another organization. In fact, I was actually my response to them is the same. Other than when they asked me, they had not started the investigation yet, the FBI investigation yet,
right.
And my response at that time was, I think we need to have an investigation. Let's slow this down. Let's let the FBI do some work, and then let's find things out instead of going back to, he said, she said, you yell at me, I yell at you. It's not attractive on either side. It's not just what the Democrats are doing. What the Republicans are doing doesn't look very good either. And so let's have a reasonable process here. And when I first gave that answer, the FBI investigation we hadn't had Senator Flake come out and make his comment, and then he did, and that was the path that I personally thought it should take. And I was, and I'm happy to see that, because there had to be something to stop the route that we were going down, and we could address this like adults.
KIT News Time, 7:54. Just a couple of minutes left. Let's go through some of these initiatives that are on the ballot and get your take on the initiatives. Initiative 1631, the taxation of that's that pollution tax as it is on the ballot. Gas taxes, they're saying gas taxes will go up, the heating costs will go up, on that side. But of course, on the other side, we'll maybe tackle pollution in this state. How do you feel about Initiative 1631?
Right, and I'm glad that this is one of the things where you say, how will you play with the Democrats on the other side of the mountain?
Right. Yeah.
And that I don't agree with that initiative, and I know that there are other Democrats who don't agree with that initiative. There are differences between the ag Democrats and the Democrats that are in committees with environmental committees and the ag committees. There's differences of opinion there, and I don't support this one. I don't feel I definitely think that the environment's important, very important. We need to have clean water, clean air, fertile soil for our children. That's a given. But this, I don't think, is the way to do it,
okay.
And it doesn't work for us.
Okay. Initiative 1639, that's the initiative that would place some restrictions on gun ownership, gun storage, things like that. Lots of folks probably in Ephrata, I would tend to think, are not for this. How do you feel about Initiative 1639?
Well, I don't think just Ephrata. I think you go all the way across the district.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to make it very clear, because I have been painted differently, that I do support the Second Amendment. I understand that if you are a farmer and you live where I live, you can have coyotes. The gun becomes a tool. You can have coyotes attack your livestock. If you live up in the Kittitas area of our district, if you have to go out in the middle of the night and repair a pump, you might run into a cougar. And so sometimes, that gun is a tool, and it's a legitimate thing. It's also important, and where we're trying to strike a balance, is that we keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. And so this idea that people have always said, well, it's not the gun's fault, it's the person's fault, I agree with that. There are dangerous people and people who should not have guns. And that's where we have problems. And so there are things in the initiative that address that, and so I support the things that help people be more responsible gun owners. We need to be responsible. It's a dangerous tool. We all know that. Gun owners respect that, and we just need to work on the responsibility aspect of it.
I-940 concerning a police officer de-escalation training. Do you support or not support that?
Well, I don't think that I don't think that we should. I don't think we should demonize the officers. I appreciate policemen. If I have a problem, I want a policeman or a fireman to be there, and that is really, really important. I think we also need to give them all the opportunity to do the best that they can. and I don't believe that our policemen want to be. They want to de-escalate the situation. They don't want there to be shots fired. That's not their goal. That's the protect and serve. And so I don't think extra training is something that should be looked down on. I think the more training, the better.
And Initiative 1634, it's been called the sugar tax, taxes on groceries. It would prohibit those new taxes. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's. I just don't see it as far as I feel like that it's too specific. And I understand that people are making a comparison between cigarettes and beer and sugar there, but I think it's a little bit too specific, and so I think we maybe need to go a different direction there.
Sylvia, one last question from me. That as an educator with an education background, I guess I should say, what did you make of the way the districts around the state were led to fight for the McCleary money for teacher raises? Did you think that, how would you have done that differently?
Well, I don't know. I wish that they could have come to those meeting of the minds without having to strike, if that's what you're referring to, the striking. I do think that teachers definitely deserved to have pay raises. Since 2008 or 9, when the economy went down, teachers got everything put on hold. Retiring teachers had their retirement funds put on hold. There were just so many things, and I'll always say that the teacher is the heart and soul of the school, and we need to recruit and retain good teachers, and we do that with wages and benefits. And we often speak so highly, and we should, of teachers. We trust our children to them day after day after day. And yet, we don't pay them with the way that we talk about them. We respect that teacher that we send our kid to, and yet we want to say, but we almost want them to be a volunteer.
Yeah, almost. Well, we're closer now than we were before, so I guess we'll see how it plays out going forward. Absolutely, and so we just need to keep working at it. But I think that the teachers deserve to have raises and benefits. Sylvia Hammond, thank you for your time this morning. Best of good luck in the election to come in the final couple of weeks, 4 weeks or so of campaigning. We wish you the very best. And if you were representing the 13th District, we hope to have numerous conversations with you down the road. So thank you much for your time and good luck.